We call him the good angel. Your good versus evil. Your Masonic pillars are Joaquin and Boaz, severity and mercy. But can you see it played out in the realm of life? Only by educating yourself above the condition of the situation can you look down on it with an overstanding to see clearly all of the pieces are being moved about in the systematic order. Now you reverse engineer and say, who the hell moved this piece? So you trying to get past the facade that's in the front because you want to see the man behind the curtain.
Like the Wizard of Oz?
Just like the Wizard of Oz. You no longer fall for the illusions that he's throwing up because you got Toto pulling at the curtain. And Toto is what you get when you add it all up. It's just the dog biting the ankle.
I was gonna say you just get the little dog. That's it.
That's the little God.
Wow. So I'm going to let Sakina come in and ask if you want to ask a question on the line of what he's talking about, because even though we want to talk about UFOs, you go in deep. See, this is what I love about Rod Hayes. You just flow. We're flowing. So, Sakina, I'll let you jump in and ask a question if you'd like to, but I don't want to slow him down.
All right, thank you. I appreciate this, Rod. Let me say
you're welcome, sweetie. I'm here to get y'all stuff back first.
Okay, so where I'm going is two things. In Buddhist, or it's kind of in Buddhism and it's kind of in Hinduism, and maybe somewhere else. There was something that was in there that said that it's going in where you were, and it said that we were here, or somewhere to a line that, you know how we say that this person had a veil over their face, or this baby done been here.
My sister was born with a veil on her face. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm into this saying that maybe it's only 144,000 people, period. Maybe, okay? 144 million people, period. And so where you're saying that the people come back in the resurrection, or whatever we want to call it, we don't want to say resurrection or what have you, but we come back in a lifetime in a cycle or a recycle, right? Mm-hmm. This is a deja vu, okay? Now, in this saying or whatever, we say that you have to complete a cycle in life, saying that you have your karma, you have your dharma, and these things that we have not done in a lifetime, in a lesson, right? So all of these things, like right now in this life cycle, we have done so much in this life cycle that we have to, if we did it in a ripple effect, so it was taught, like if you throw a rock in a pond, and once you throw that rock in a pond, that rock makes so much ripples in that water, right? That until that water comes back whole and solid, right? That your life is not complete. So you have to wait until all of those ripples come back into a flow. And so your life cycle is not complete. Even if your life ends, you have to still come back until those ripples complete and that water comes back to be still. So even if it's not in this form, in this body, you still come back. So we say, if you come back as a dog, or if you came back as a monkey, or if you came back, you have to be whatever you have to be in this life. You better make sure you be it really good. So if you live this life as a dirty rat, you better hope you don't come back as a dirty rat. There you go. So this is the thing. So I'm going with you and where you're going with this, right? And so I understand that.
That's called Dharma in Buddhism. And the Dharma talks about cycles.
Exactly.
These cycles in modern physics, we call them timelines.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Timelines on a pattern look more like a lightning bolt than a straight line. The timeline only ends where it ends at. Just like the electrical bolt have fingers that end in different places, but they all different timelines. Right? And the source of the bolt is the initiation of the timeline. Science today call it the Big Bang.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I always ask them who turned on the switch.
There you go. I asked what banged. Right. Okay. So yeah.
if we go by the Egyptian doctrine where they teach us about the primordial moon, the infinite waters of the mother's womb, it's called the primordial moon, where you get your modern nuns from. The nuns were the original priestesses of the mother of the noon, which they called Aset.
Right.
Right? Because at noon, she sat down in her throne.
Okay.
Right? So they become the mirror reflection of the light because they used to wear white. But when they inverted the gender of the priesthood and usurped the women, they gave the high priestess white to the Pope.
Okay, come on. Now it's getting hot in here.
The Pope is your quintessential representative of your Jacobite, your underminer, your supplanter, who sits under the throne of the Great Mother. And they tell you a lie and tell you it's the throne of St. Peter. But the throne of St. Peter is in a whole different part of Europe. And there's nowhere that size.
Wow. Talking about St. Peter and the Pope, talk to us about this Pope passing away. Just throwing this in, I'm not trying to stop your flow, but the Pope passing away right after the Easter celebration.
So the first thing we had to do is see through the BS. The Pope been gone.
I knew you were going to say that. Where's my bomb drop? Like, I'm always bad. I thought that.
Yeah, bless up, Sarah.
Bless up.
All right. Yeah, man, bless up, brother Hayes. You don't know, big up yourself, Sakina, Ra. Now, Paul, bless up yourself. I Rastafari, so that's right. But I heard you said something to an extent of we coming down here. So I would like you to expound, because you know the Dogans talk about us coming from the stars, but I would like to make the connection also that we didn't come from the stars, or we came from the stars, and how did we come through our mom's portal from the dad's seed? And you're saying like we come from somewhere to down here. So like, you know, elaborate and kind of make the connection for me, please.
The father's seed is secondary in creation. The Y chromosome is an X with an atrophied appendix, and it has about 30% less genetic information than an X chromosome. Right? The reason why is that the mutation was activated in a prior time by the will of the feminine to change the makeup and structure to produce the masculine. Right? Credo Mutua give it to us in the separating of genders through the red light and the blue light. So, but this is metaphoric for the training of the royal family. The red house trains the mother's children and the blue house trains the father's children. This became your Scottish Rite and York Rite Masons. Right? Now, the hierarchy of what they call principalities, which is frequency waves of the earth, the people first have to call on their personal family leader, who then calls on the community leader. The community leader then calls upon the multiple community leader. So the grievances vex go through a chain of command on the father line as the ruler line, the governors of the mother's realm, guardians of the sacred yoni, protector of women. So in the process of the training, he has to understand what he's protecting in order for him to be an effective protector. So the reduced genetic matter caused the man to take on a different form as the woman in order to be her protector. But all zygotes, meaning the children, before the mother sends them the permission to convert gender, are female. They become, once her chemistry determines she's going to let the Y chromosome activate, she changes the gender to male in utero. The male then forms into the masculine protector of the feminine. Then once this happens, she produces a male child. But the source still has to trace back to the powerhouse of the cell called mitochondria. Now, because of the missing genetic matter, the men cannot pass mitochondria, but it's required to power the cell of the masculine. The process by which the mother selects the son's wife is by frequency of mitochondria. She don't never have to personally meet her, but the mitochondrial frequencies have to match the unconditional love frequency. And this frequency is what's the sacred marriage or the holy marriage, the uniting of Tahuti and Isis, or the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine being joined as one in order to be a pair of gods as co-creators of the reality. And it's known as the holy drama, as it's played out in the story of Osiris and Isis. And the Dogons also teach the holy drama, but they don't teach it exoterically, they teach it esoterically. The exoteric is the arrival of the Syrians in order to give from Sirius B in order to deliver.
Come on, feed.
The Pope been gone. Look, they've been using an android in public, masquerading as this Pope. He been dead for some years.
Wow.
And you got to remember, before him was what? Pope Francis?
Yeah,
right?
He was Pope Francis. Before him was the Pope, the German one.
Was it Benedict?
The one, Benedict, yeah.
Right.
He was,
now,
he was the Nazi one, remember?
Yeah. That's why he allegedly stepped down. It's a lifelong position. You cannot step down.
And I should say allegedly, YouTube. Don't mess with us. Go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Hayes.
You can't step down from the position of Pope. You can only leave it by death.
Come on.
So they gave us Francis, because Francis is a talking mule.
Well, come on.
Right? For those who don't know who Francis the Talking Mule was, it's a sitcom from the 50s.
Oh, wow.
The mule is the symbol of the Democratic Party.
Right?
But we in a republic.
Make it make sense.
Now, when the symbol was the elephant and the donkey, is when it was the Democratic Republic Party, a political faction led by a talking ass.
Oh.
They tell us a story and they put it in the art and entertainment because it's like playing concentration. Flip this card. Okay, what's the other card?
Right. And don't forget Shrek. The talking donkey, right? They show us right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there was also a horse. See, Francis was the talking mule and Mr. Ed was the horse.
Right.
Right. Wow. And Ed was the one that used to do the clearance house sweepstakes that they say he never did it. Mandela effect.
Wow. I'm trying to
all of us remember him on Johnny Carson giving out Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes and showing the clips of him going up to people's door with the balloons and the giant check. But they told us none of that ever happened.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing, you mean when they went up to people's homes and gave them the check? They said that didn't happen?
That's a Mandela effect.
Oh, what?
And then he went to Star Search, right?
The Mandela effect is a sudden shift in the timeline due to a major catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
So the timelines being jumped mean that a major catastrophe triggered the jump in the timeline.
You think that the Hadron Collider at CERN is something to do with the time being warped or changed?
Look, they used it to create what we see as the 3D in the way that we have to have sleep.
Okay.
If you look at the spirals going up through dimensions, the last time one was open was during the Anunnaki Wars, and they blew it to collapse the fourth dimension into the third, so we would require sleep.
Oh, okay.
But we would be stuck in what's called a permanent infinity loop, because nobody will ever figure out at the right time what we call the Maherta. When the center of the universe is in direct alignment to the earth, to alert enough people to make the jump out of the infinity loop into the ascension loop. But they was wrong about one. So now that we can flip through the infinity loop, we in the trajectory of the ascension loop. And the things that we see in as Mandela effects, right, is the resonance and the residue of a shifted system. With the system, if the system shift, we have to have a way to know that it shift that's readable to the highest intelligences of the planet. So they give you a Mandela effect. That's telling you there's a major shift because it's all mathematics. And it's playing out as three-dimensional human life. Powerful people in powerful places making powerful moves all in our face. When they don't know that the power is in the people, when the focus and concentration on the people are the problem, that the ones that appears to be in power is focusing their attention on in order for the people to determine the solution. And when they get fed up with it, they say, we're not playing no more. Game is over. They tricking us into continuously playing into their storylines with what we call mainstream media, but it's losing its grip. That means that the hypnotic trance they had us in is wearing off. And they use the media to do it. Now we don't trust the media.
We don't trust the media because the media is set up. We've seen there's been breakdowns, right? The veil, or what you said with the like the Wizard of Oz, the veil has fallen before, and they put it back up and said, "Oh, you didn't see anything," you know. So, I just want to ask you about a little bit more to go into when you said the thing about dreaming and sleep. This is actually mainstream scientific research where they're trying to figure out why the brain
requires sleep,
and not just requires sleep. When we do dream, the brain isn't it is not wired or programmed to remember dreams, but we remember everything else. Talk to us about dreaming, because you were going in for a minute there. I want to hear about, is that a connection to us to the other realms? Yes,
it's a direct link. The reason we don't remember the dreams, those are different timelines. When we leave here, we used to do this without going to sleep in the physical.
Okay, yes.
It was like we had a switch in the physical to leave the body on autopilot to follow muscle memory while we go in another dimension and do something else. We didn't need rest. Right? Now we need rest because the fourth and third dimension is crashed into each other, pitched at the infinity loop. So we was going at the bottom, then the top, which created the mirror universe as above, so below.
Okay.
The stars we see in the sky is reflection of the people we see on the ground.
I think my mom used to say that to us.
right? This is why they give you a zodiac sign. The zodiac sign is reading the frequency of energy in which you came into the physical body in order to know what channel to tune your radio station in to know how you gonna act.
So are we infinite life? Like, is this the stars? Basically, there's billions and billions. What my mom used to actually say is, as many stars as you see up there is how many people. But I'm not saying that's correct. However, you're saying we're reflecting. Are we seeing our different lives up there? So
yeah, that's in our light body form. You know, light body form. You just a star. You a big, bright, glowing orb. You use your creative potentiality to move that orb into all type of shapes and forms. So we come down here to play this game called human life.
Right.
Okay.
It's only one way we can get here, so we never lose sight of who started it all, Big Mama. Because the only way we can get here is she got to let us come through the gate.
And when you say Big Mama, I know there's a microcosm. We think of the actual mother, the material human, but there's also the cosmos, the universe that is
That's
Big
the only place that creation is simulated, as in creation itself is in the womb.
Yes, but what about the Milky Way, the galaxies? That's a Big Mama too, right?
That's just like her chakra. That might be her ankle chakra. Because it's a swirl of energy. All of the galaxies are swirls of energy. It's just chakras. In the uterus, they forming into different beings by putting all of their cells together. She's getting ready to give birth, and we waiting on our turn to be birthed into a new life.
So is she consciousness that we talk about? Is she actually I call it the universal mind of God, but is the mother consciousness? Or what is it?
That's her. That's Big Mama. Big Mama is also represented in the temples of Mandela. In the star map up there has her as Tawaret. She is the hippopotamus goddess to represent Big Mama. She got the alligator back, Sobek priest, right? That means she was an upright woman. She have a cleaver in her right hand. And she'll chop your goddamn head off by her babies. Right? And she have a very elongated breasts because she had to suckle all of us. Right?
What about the brothers who are feeling like, why is the teacher, why is the chief leaving the man out? Because we did talk to some brothers saying, where's the divine masculine? Can you
tell him to show up? Tell him to show his tough ass up. Because the divine masculine is the one who's confident enough in his masculinity to not be intimidated to honor the feminine. The God man is the man that's God enough to tell you God is a woman without feeling no kind of way about it. I'm not offended by it. It don't make me feel lesser. It just tell me that y'all better get Big Mama and her babies her shit back, or you're going to make us male guys begin to act the fool.
Right. We're looking at the feminine divine is there. We're looking at the masculine divine with what you're saying. Why is it so hard for some, not all, brothers to connect that when a man tells the truth about the feminine divine, that is literally the masculine divine? Why is it hard?
Because he ain't divine yet.
Let me get my mom.
Listen, you try and explain physics to a second grader.
My mom is on a delay.
Our educational system is designed to arrest the mental thinking development at the age of 6.
Oh, okay.
It's a 12-step thinking detoxification program given to us under the pretenses of teaching our children. A thinking individual is not fit to be a slave.
Okay. Yes.
You have to be a go along to get along, well trained, conditioned servant. I call them angry sheep.
Oh wow.
That's what they is. They angry sheep. They get mad because you don't go along to get along because they want to go along to get along.
And then they call you a simp, right? Or not you, but they'll call the brother a simp, right?
Yeah, but ain't no simping in my pimping.
No, I'm not saying you. That's why I made it clear.
I want them to say it, but ain't no simping in my pimping.
You know what? I'll be dropping bombs through the whole show, so I'm just going to have a little bit of bombs on here.
Look, I say it again. I'm going to say it again. The God man is the man that's confident in his masculinity to not be intimidated to tell you that God is a woman. Because to understand the divine Shakti, divine feminine energy of creativity, now you as a divine masculine can utilize her by balancing her emotional, mental balance. You her anchor. Once she's anchored and you can get her emotions to stabilize by understanding the nature of the feminine and what it needs the masculine to do. They only understand the masculine and what they want as masculine. So when you bring up you need both, but you have to respect each other from where y'all come from. Ain't no man get here without coming through no woman. Period.
Okay, thank you.
You can believe that biblical narrative of the Christian church, of the tyrants that came to enslave us all, or you can break the paradigm and recognize for what it is, because you can't find a reproduction outside the womb. They've been trying to make babies outside the womb for the longest. They still need to get the baby out the womb in order to even try to manufacture one out the womb. So they got to go through the womb to get the egg. In order to have a test tube baby, you still got to go through the womb.
You have to, yes.
You can't escape it.
What about the attempts to do uterine transplants onto?
That's called desecration of holy places.
Please see how slow I am with y'all. Moms. Okay.
Look, you got to remember, the war is a deliberate attempt of rogue patriarch, homosexual pedophile priests to replace the priestesses of the Delphi, the Gorgon, and the Psi priestesses of the Great Mother. The war has nothing to do with two different dudes. It got everything to do with a sissy-ass brother that's jealous of his sister and he want to be more feminine than her.
Oh, right. And you know what? You're cooking, and you got to remember, Mr. Hayes, Chief Hayes. Some people aren't ready, but they will get ready. I need you to explain to this. Some of the people in the audience are like, well, what does this have to do with UFOs? What does this have to do with aliens? Can you let them know the connection on all this stuff that you're saying tied in? Can you do that for us, please?
Again, unfortunate others.
Okay.
So
they don't like to hear the brother talk about the feminine divine. Not everybody, but some of them are getting a little uncomfortable. But go ahead.
Well, when a real man talk, a sissy man gonna be offended anyway. It don't matter what I'm talking about, the divine feminine or the divine masculine. Because when the role of the masculine is explained, he gonna get just as offended at describing the role of the feminine. Because he's stuck in the middle and can't pick a side. Because he don't know who he is. Beta male.
I can't drop bombs all night. I just gotta say, that is 1,000% true.
Look, this is not nothing that's secret. Everything I'm saying is not secret. It's written in the halls and the temples in Egypt. It's written throughout the temples in Tibet. It's written across southern temples in Mexico and Arizona. It's all over the place. It's weaved into the fabric of creation itself. It's down at the microscopic level and the macroscopic level. It's in the stars and it's on the earth. You can't escape the reality of reality, or else you're going to keep living in the illusion of illusions.
Illusions.
And as long as you in the illusions, you servant and victim to the illusion. You can't control your reality, and therefore you don't have access to your own willpower. Because God ain't going to give you the power to use something you can't control.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Wow. So they're looking, they don't understand, not say they. Those,
okay, let's go to the alien connection.
And yes, do that for us. And wait, but you see,
all of them aliens,
okay,
them foreigners, the people that came from other places came here to learn from us.
Oh wow.
We didn't go there to learn from them. They came here to learn from us. The Atlantis civilization, as they call it, was the global civilization of the planet. Earth was heaven then.
Okay.
The problem was is some of the people that came to learn from us felt like Christopher Columbus felt.
Uh-oh. Okay. How so?
These people are kind, they're generous. These women are the angels of the earth. They will be easy to conquer because they only have a few masculines. The position of masculine was not as common as it is now. And a lot of these masculines, I call them NPC, non-player characters, they mitochondria gonna get cut off for being bitch-ass niggas. Now, can't say it no other way.
I can't even. I can't.
When the solar flare hit and the Schumann resonance makes the earth shake, Atlas shrugs off the parasites, right? And anything that's on the wrong frequency, when the blasts go out, will be turned off. And that's just the significance to the cycles. We caught the Maherta. We alerted the people. We pointed out the shift in the change of Pisces to the age of Aquarius while it was transpiring, using the oral tradition of the tribes of the land, putting it in the public domain. As the stars move into the alignment, we let the people watch it happen. And we gave them the truth to see as opposed to a political satire show to watch. Even the political satire pointed them to the same stellar alignments. You have to open up the mind by getting their head out the sand. And the sand is in the desert. And the Arabian sands is the sand that's confusing them. Because it's the home of the war. Tahuti went to set up Egypt to watch them niggas they landed on Mount Hermon. This is your fallen angel story. Ain't nobody failed. They came down here. The so-called war in heaven, extraterrestrial warfare, landed on Earth.
Thank you. Thank you. So those are these stories we hear. These are all aliens, so-called aliens.
They are aliens, except for the ones that was on the ground already.
Okay.
Because they tell you the story from both the ones that came down. Then they tell you the story from the perspective of the ones that's watching it on the ground. But remember, less than 0.01% of people of the day supposed to have been able to read and write.
Right.
Let that sink in for a minute. So who's telling the stories, and why are they telling the stories in the manner they're telling them, and what do that have to do with how we see our worldview today? It's playing a long game. The average person is only living for today. But the eternal ones watch the long game because they got nothing else to do. We done did this before. This ain't our first rodeo, and this ain't our last dance.
Thank you. Excuse me. Did they teach us how to write and read? Because that's what some of the stories say about we
was telepathic. We didn't need to write we knew how to read or transfer information, but we would have to put it on stuff. It was telepathic. All
What
of
was
us was on a telepathic mental network.
right? Speaking through the mind, but I
Right.
believe that. I definitely am all.
It was impossible to forget anything.
And what about telekinesis, like psychokinesis?
We was able to do all that. We still able to do it. We just don't know how to train the faculty.
I know how to.
Ancient history, all of the stuff before 6,000 years, they call it prehistory. That means before they start being able to document a record, right? But the Syrians, the dog star, is the progenitors of the Dogon.
Right. And that would be the nomos, correct?
The nomos is the term for them, but when they call them nomos, my phone about to die. When they call them nomos, they talking about, because remember, they first landed at the bottom of the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when they came out of the water, they wore the skins of fish.
Yep.
Right. It's just like on Earth when you wear the skin of a deer.
Yeah.
Same thing, different expression.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they nomos. Nomos mean fish man.
That's, listen, I know the phone about to die, but this was dope. We about 3 hours in, man. Like I said, I knew this was gonna be one of them ones. I knew it was gonna be special. It was gonna be monumental. I really felt like my spirit. It made me feel like, and it's dope that we even hit that. But it really made me feel like when Suge got with Pac, when Pac came home and he went in, man. He did the double album, All Eyes on Me, and then Machiavelli, and it's like the way that everything's been moving. That's not a coincidence to me.
Since you brought that up, I want to remind everything what Tupac said on All Eyes on Me. Heard a rumor I died, murdered in cold blood, dramatized. Pictures of me in my final stages. Mama cried. That shit was fiction. Some coward got the story twisted, like I no longer existed, mysteriously missing. Right? He was telling you something. He was telling you something. Right before your very eyes, you won't even realize you can't see me. I'm standing right here and you can't see me. He was with Shock G at the All Eyes on Me premiere.
All right, Peter Shock G from my hood. He from Tampa.
Yeah. Look, you ain't got a RIP Shock G. You can say until we see you in the future.
Yes, sir.
When Pac come back, he coming back with an entourage. It's gonna be they gonna call it the Dead Celebrity Ball.
Listen, and I just had a block party in heaven, and I'm telling you,
look, the one that's gonna twist everybody cap back is a guy named Kurt Cobain.
Speak to him. Speak to him. Speak to him. Oh man, listen, the people going crazy. Look, we gotta do it again. I don't know when, but I'm gonna let you. We gotta do it again.
Oh yeah, we'll do it again, man. I had a blast.
You and me both. This was dope. The people going crazy. But I already knew. But that's the ancestors, and that's shout out to Big Mama, man. But man, listen, Big Chief, I appreciate you.
Before we check out, one last thing Pac said, and you gotta remember, I can't go nowhere. They can't kill me until I clean this shit up. I can't go nowhere.
Yes, look, they said, boy, hey, the spirit is in it. Okay. Yeah, it's about to go. We done ran the juice out. It's all good.
So I was like, gosh, I don't know whether we're gonna have anything to talk about, but I know you have a plethora of information. So I wish I was recording some of the conversations we just had. You know what I mean? When we're not online, because those are so profound and I get so much from it, and I'm trying to catch it all and dissect it and try to make sure I'm understanding everything you're saying. And it's just amazing the wealth and the breadth and the depth of the information that is inside of you. I want to call you a living, breathing, walking, talking encyclopedia, thesaurus, etymology dictionary, and all of those other things. You know, book of life is just, it's like you are, you've spent time in a place where, you know, most people would, you know, what they call it, they call them the dismal crib or whatever they call it.
Dismal crips, yeah.
Dismal crib, but you came out crib walking.
Hey.
You came out full of knowledge, and so the interesting thing, the wonderful thing about that is it hasn't stopped. You know, as things change, as times change, you know, you write in the mix of what's going on now, and that's important. So I like to welcome you. I like to welcome all of our viewers. I want to tell you, ask you rather, I can't tell you what to do, but please like and share the fact that we're on, so that we can get these numbers up. Yep, because these are not the numbers that we are so used to. So I'm gonna make sure that, you know, please like. You already got, you know, like in advance, love it in advance. Put those hearts up, put those thumbs up, and let me see what the folks are saying in the chat. I see all kinds of little, yeah, brother. I like that. Sister Barbara Brown said, "Brother record keeper," among others. So, yeah. So listen, it's all about systems. Like I said, you went on several. Before we get into the systems, I guess maybe you think we should just delve into current stuff so we can get that out the way.
It's your show. You asking the questions. I'm just answering best I can.
You know, folks don't like me to talk when you're on there. They want me to shut up and just let you lecture. But you know, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, I can't be a talk show host and not talk a little bit and have a little bit of knowledge. I have to test what I know. So if you tell me that what I'm saying don't make no sense, then I know that what I think I know, I don't know. Right? So we have to dialogue. And so the reason why I was talking about current events, a lot of people, I mentioned this to you earlier, a lot of folks are talking about the fact that President Trump pardoned, did all the pardons that he did, but one in particular, you know, and a lot of folks are seeing it from different perspectives. Some are seeing it, you know, as a great thing, and others are seeing it as no more than a move to try to get brownie points with our community, you know.
Well,
but
he didn't need the commuted sentence to get support from our community.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put in enough work. In college, he bankrolled the Black Panther Party. He got people that he even moved in his Trump Towers. There's a sister that lived there rent free because she was homeless. He did a lot in our community besides the Larry Hoover situation. But what the Larry Hoover situation is a nod to the tribes. They got us under the. When we talk about systems, the dictionary is a very powerful tool if you know how to use it and if you know how to misuse it.
Okay.
Right? Like they call the word gang like it don't mean tribe. It means tribe. When you do the etymology of the word, gang means tribe, clan, clique, posse, crew. Right? But they villainize the word. They make the word become a bad word. When we was watching the Bowery Boys or Little Rascals, our gang was not a bad word.
True. That's true.
But when they wanted to COINTELPRO us, all of a sudden, first, demonize the word. Make people scared of the word so that when you attach the word to a person, you're not telling them this is the tribal leader for this tribe. You telling them this is the enemy we came to destroy. See, most of us don't know that the government declared war on the people. And most of the tribes, like 80% of them, when you translate the language that they were speaking into English, the name of the tribe mean the people.
What do you mean the name?
When you translate, okay, so it was many different tongues on the land.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the tribes refer to themselves as the people in their respective language. Some of them refer to themselves as kinfolks in the respective language. But it's pretty much the same thing. We the people comes from the Continental Congress. It don't come from the Civil War or the rebellion against Britain. Britain colonized the word and the usage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when they get done controlling how you think by like the word conspiracy just means two or more people came together and made a plan. That's it. That's all it means. It don't mean nothing else. But when they get done conspiracy theory, when they hit you with the theory part, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Now they didn't demonize it because I was also a part of the MK Ultra program. But we don't know that because most of us ain't never read the MK Ultra files. Sometimes I wish I had never read it.
Yeah, but historically, like you said, they have declared war on the people. We may not know all of the things that happened, 200 years ago, but just come up into the 60s and the 70s and stuff, and talk about the Black Panther Party, was it SNCC, CORE, Nation of Islam, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, all of the, MOVE in Philadelphia, those types of organizations that rose up to be more of a help, if you will, self-help groups to help ourselves and do for ourselves, became the targets of, the system. Like you said, that, like, speaking of war, they said we're doing a war on drugs. And I remember writing a piece in the 90s they're doing a war with drugs, not on drugs. They weren't warring on drugs. They were using drugs to war against our people for the most part, largely. Now, of course, some of them got caught up, just the collateral damage, but the war wasn't on drugs. It was with drugs. You agree?
DEA. You know what it stands for? Drug Enforcement Agency.
Right.
What they enforcing? Try it in the title.
Drugs.
Iran-Contra, the highest elected officials on the land, president, vice president, and a couple of generals, Oliver North and Poindexter or whatever his name was, they all got caught red-handed shipping tons of cocaine into the country. The government is supposed to not supposed to be able to create a crime and punish you for it.
True.
But they're creating the crime and then they're punishing you for it. Then when you try to do something good, they take it and say, look what we did. The Panthers came out with the program that became WIC. It was brothers and sisters that came out with the ambulance service. We didn't know ambulance service. We couldn't get to the hospital in a timely manner.
I heard you say that on another show, and I did not know that. I absolutely didn't know that.
We didn't have when they was busting us in the head and sicking dogs on us, we didn't have no EMTs. We didn't have no ambulance, no EMT. The fire department wasn't doing that. They was getting cats out of trees. But nobody taking care and tending us when they was beating us upside the head with clubs and putting us in the chokehold and shooting us in the back. Wasn't nobody coming to get us. We had to figure it out. Then once we did it, they repurposed it and put all pale faces in it and say, see, look what we did. We made it where y'all can get to the hospital in a timely manner with some medical assistance on the way. They had breakfast at school until the Panthers came along and a couple of other groups. That wasn't common. Wow. It was very uncommon. Like all of the stuff that our people was doing